All right. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get this really wet. Now, this is just one of many ways to get soft edges on your painting. But for those of you that maybe have trouble getting soft edges, I'm not looking at anyone in particular.
Like everyone.
But for those of you that have trouble getting soft edges on your painting, this might be a solution. It also makes some of those in-between kind of paintings, as this begins to dry, you can get some different effects. And I would encourage you to experiment with it. One of the things I noticed was that some people still have flats that are those synthetic flat large brushes, and when they go to apply a lot of water, they never get enough water on their paintings. So I would encourage you to, if you've got one of those, to be cautious that you are really getting a lot of water on there. Because if you just do what you see me do, you won't have enough water there. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to wet the surface. Every time you wet this surface, there is a possibility that you're going to wash off some sizing. And so again, a really soft brush and being really gentle with it, particularly if you're doing layers and layers of it, you know, would be really useful to use a really soft brush for the front. Okay, now in terms of color, I'm working with raw sienna, and I want my paint to be, I guess, what you would call creamy at least. You don't want much water in it, so you want it to be kind of gushy. That's technical.
How do you spell gushy?
Gushy.
G-O-O.
I got it.
Okay. Thank you. I was looking to you to do that for us.
Good job, Terry Goldstein.
So I've got 2 areas here of raw sienna. And one of the things that I have started doing lately, I've always used like violets or something to tone down or darken my yellows. And so now my new favorite thing here is this Moon Glow, and it does a great job of that. So I'm going to put a little bit of Moon Glow out. It doesn't take much. All right, so if I put a little bit of Moon Glow, I'm going to put some in up here. Because I've got this enlarged now, I've got to hold this out over here. So I'm going to put some Moon Glow over here. I'm keeping some in reserve over there. And then I'm going to mix areas in between from a lot of Moon Glow to areas with only a touch of it, like that. Hopefully, if this is creamy enough, they won't all totally run together, because if you're working too wet, you know, you'll wind up with a big puddle of one color. And we want a variation there to work with. All right, now let's see where we are. So I've got very wet paper, and like I said last week, I think it's best that you start out too wet. The other thing is that when you start out too wet, what happens is you're going to have this paper is going to absorb more water, and we want that paper wet internally. So as opposed to when sometimes we want the paint to just slide over the surface, here we want the whole paper wet, and the paper should be, this is 300 pound, and you can see that it's very noodle-like. Okay.
Is that a technical term?
Yes, that is. Noodle-like is, yes. And she knows how to spell it.
I'm still working on gushy.
All right.
And is that a capital N?
No, but it has parentheses on there.
Okay.
Underlined.
All right. So I may use very little pure raw sienna. when you look at the kitten, and then this is the thing that our brains do. We look at the kitten and we see a yellow cat or an orange cat, you know, and it looks pretty bright. In fact, on this little guy, I actually started out with just pure raw sienna. I've toned it down now because it wasn't the right thing. And this little guy has got more yellow in him than this one does, but I prefer this because it works with the face better, and you can handle the handle the shapes better. So, all right. So let's start out. Now, what's going to happen is that when I apply paint here, oh, okay, I'm going to watch it move and see how much it moves around.
Move this one a little bit so you can see.
Oh, yeah, okay. How much it moves around. And thank you. Yeah, you kind of. And the other thing is that while this looks like a lot of color, what's going to happen is this is going to diffuse some, and you're really going to wind up not having much there later. So if you go ahead and you put quite a bit down, you can feel pretty safe working with it as long as that paper's thoroughly wet. And it's got a sheen on it. It's got a heck of a sheen on it. But here's the magic of this, is that you can work on this after the sheen goes away. And as long as the paper feels cool, you can pretty much do the same thing, and the paint will be stronger. But I suggest starting out now rather than letting it sit, and begin to build up some darks. And I'm using this number 6.
Looks so easy when she does it.
It actually is. So this is so much easier. And I'm thinking, why have I not been insisting on this more often? So, because this does make it easier to work with. So I want a little bit of, this is the pure moon glow around the edges here to make that curve in right there where the fur comes in, the skin comes in up against the eye. And we could go ahead and put a little shape in down here. I made my marks there a little extra dark so they would show up on the video better. So I'm just shaping the kitten. And I'm going to vary color a little bit. So let's just come out here. There's a real strong probability that I'm going to go back over this before I finish. And probably not in a second layer, but just as the water begins to evaporate some. So you could get some of your lightest areas in that are going to stay light. Now would be a good time. And I started to dip in the water. I don't need to dip in the water right now. I've got plenty of water right out here on my palette. So let's look. There's a little bit of shaping around the nose. You know, and you don't have to make this kitty exactly like this kitty, but you probably want to pay attention to the shaping around the nose quite a bit. So, oh, is that still, oh, okay.
Probably needs that.
Okay, I thought I still had it in the way. So, then and see, I haven't even blended this out, and I could leave it alone there probably for a little while. But I'll go ahead and take my brush. Mind you, I've not dipped back in the water yet, because part of the time my brush is actually picking water up off of the paper right now. And that's going to change. In fact, the sheen is going away right now. But I should, and should is the operative word, because should never really happens, does it? I'm going to keep kind of building shape and just tweaking this around. Like I said, I didn't even have to dip back into the water. I can just pick up paint for now. That's going to change. you be aware that you are constantly monitoring what's happening and how your paint is reacting to the paper and changing as you go. So let's see, let's put a little cat eye makeup on right there. Oh, now you can see that I've got some edges there that look dry. All right, but it's still got a lot of softness to it, and I could leave it like that. But I can also, if I just barely touch this, it will blend out, and it'll do it so easily. You know, sometimes, like I was saying, sometimes some of you are really fighting with making this happen, and I think if you work with this wet paper, you may fall in love with doing it this way a lot of the time. So, yeah, do that right there. Now, if I get color down there that I don't want, oh, like right here, I might want to lift up one of those little light areas. And, let's see. You know, he's got some little stripy things down there in the middle of his forehead. Look like little frown lines. Gee. So, you could lift, you can add in more color. You can just, you have a better chance to play with your watercolor and see what's happening and play with the shapes and still have it fixable. You know, when we did the background, we used a lot of moon glow, and that moon glow does set in the paper a little more heavily than whereas raw sienna doesn't. So we've only got a little moon glow in this. It makes it a little easier to work with. So you can see that I'm just building shape. The other thing that I'm going to show is just building a little shape. As we come down around the mouth, it gets cooler. See all of this area? Does that show up okay? Okay. All of this area in here, see, is cool looking. And I'm using moon glow, but golly, you could use almost anything there that is cool. It almost looks a little cerulean to me. Cerulean's a little harder to work with. Cerulean's a little harder to work with here. So, and I am blending out the edges. I did add water there. So, right along here, there's a coolness there. And the other thing is, when I put down wet color here, if it's wet enough, the water from the moon glow is now pushing the raw sienna back out of the way a little bit, and so you are getting a little bit more pure color because the moon glow is a little wetter. I'm working a little wetter now, and it's pushing it back. See, I got a lot of raw sienna on that side. Oh, on this side I didn't. Oh, whoa, well, look at that. See, now if you can make those little individual hairs. See, that looks bad. That looks really uncat-like. Okay. So let's put a little more raw sienna in there with it too. And then the thing is, because this paper is deep wet, I mean, sometimes you might worry about that. But because this is really deep wet, you can play with it. Oh, look, I've got a little white streak in there. I think I want to leave that. And pull this in this way.
What color would you use for the nose?
Let's go back to the nose later, okay? I'm probably going to use some Queen Coral and Moon Glow again. So whatever I'm shading with now, if I can continue shading with it, I will. And I think it'll work fine. I haven't actually done it. So, and now I'm pushing a little bit more of that yellow back out of the way. There. Oh, see, this side looks pale. I can come in here and I can add a little more color. So I can just keep messing with shaping the face for however long. Okay, so you see some nice shape coming in there. Now, when it reaches a point where It's no longer easy to work with. Oh, okay. Let's just take that and let's just add a little water to it now. I'm adding water this time. I'm beginning to add water. So I can go ahead and pull a little color in there like I did on that side. I just didn't do it a while ago. But you can see I'm kind of taking my time and I'm playing with this. And here's the thing. If instead of being in a hurry to finish a cat, you are taking the time to be one with your paper. Okay, but to kind of zen it a little bit and just watch what it's doing and what's happening, you will gain so much skill that if you're just trying to do a product and be efficient, you won't get that experience. So when this is dry enough, and I wouldn't get that wet right now. I would give that a few minutes. I guess you could hit it with a hairdryer. But then I would go back, re-wet that back, re-wet the top again when it's had time to set a little bit. Re-wet the top again very gently and keep on working on it. Let's leave the ears and the nose alone. We're gonna shape these ears with negative color in there, and I'm gonna work with you a second time. In part, there's not much difference there, but I'm just trying to get everybody seeing and thinking on this, because I've noticed that it's kind of hard to get the idea through, especially working wet enough. So, does anybody have questions? Okay, go do that stuff.